It's the first of two stops on a little cruise out of Tampa, Florida in June of 2023. Hey everyone, I'm Patrick from Oakland Travel, and this is Key West, Florida. We are on the upper deck of the Serenade of the Seas. As you can see me standing right there, looking down, straight down, got the camera over the side of the ship and everything. And after a beautiful day in Key West in the summer of 2023, a nice hot day, where we rented a golf cart, drove around a little bit, had a little early lunch, actually early dinner, like a dinner, I guess is what they call it, over at Sloppy Joe's, which is a famous restaurant bar in Key West. So we're back on the ship, and it is time to depart Key West, and we're going to head over to Royal Caribbean's private island, the Perfect Day at the Coco Cay. That is our next stop before we return to Tampa. And this was a little cruise that was actually mostly paid for by Royal Caribbean. They did us a really, really big solid. This was summer of 2023. In September of 2022, we were on a big 14-night Arctic crossing cruise on the Voyager of the Seas. Had a problem with the luggage, thanks to Scandinavian Airways, and I'm going to throw them under the bus and back up and run over them again, because they really screwed up the trip quite well by losing our luggage, Scandinavian Airways. And so what happened was we were supposed to spend a couple days in Copenhagen, Denmark for the start of that Voyager cruise. The luggage was lost. We had to go to a store at the last minute before boarding the ship and buy a whole bunch of clothes for my wife because her luggage was lost, but mine was there. And but Royal Caribbean really stepped up. They worked with the airline and eventually got the airline to figure out how to find the luggage. And they brought the luggage over to the airport in Iceland and Reykjavik, because that was going to be one of the main stops on the cruise, and the ship was actually there for 2 full days. And so Royal Caribbean kept pushing and got the airlines to deliver the luggage. And on the first night at Reykjavik, after we got back from our short excursion, boom, there's the luggage. And it didn't stop there, because Royal Caribbean, who was not responsible for any of this, really did us a solid. I cannot say that enough. They just really stepped up. Royal Caribbean killed it. And so a couple of days after that, when we're still in the middle of this 14-night cruise, I get a letter under the door, and it's from the guest services desk on the Voyager of the Seas, and they awarded us a nice big fat future cruise credit for this little problem with the luggage. And so we used that credit to book this cruise right here on the Serenade of the Seas. And hopefully Royal Caribbean was able to go back to Scandinavian Airways and make them pay for it, because they screwed it up. But I don't know how all that works. That's kind of behind the scenes. But so when we had the future cruise credit, we were trying to decide what to do with it. We were looking at cruises. We live in Orlando, Florida. Tampa, Florida is not very far away, just down the Interstate I-4, the glorious I-4 that everybody hates, that goes between Orlando and Tampa. But Tampa's a nice little cruise port for a couple of ships to go out of. It's mostly a commercial industrial port, but it does have a little bit of residential, or not residential, but it does have a little bit of cruise ship traffic out of there. Got a couple of terminals over there. And the Serenade of the Seas was doing these little 4 and 5 night, I think, Tampa cruises that would go to Key West and Perfect Day at Coco Cay. And some of the itineraries would throw in a sea day, and some of them wouldn't. And so we picked one that had a sea day. And so it was just a nice little cruise to get a chance to get back to Key West, which we love. We've been down there a few times over the years. And of course, Royal Caribbean's private island. Anytime we get a chance to go to the Perfect Day at the Coco Cay, we just cannot turn that down. And so it just sort of checked off all the boxes. Summer of 2023, a nice little ship. We'd never been on the Serenade before, or this class of ship. And so it was like, oh, a new ship, or a new ship to us. And get a chance to visit a couple of locations that we really like. And so why not? So here we are, upper deck, getting ready to leave. And backing out very slowly. What you're looking at right there, center of the screen, is the Navy Pier. If you look closely back there in the corner, you'll see a Coast Guard cutter back there. And so that is all owned by the federal government. And that dock right there in the center of the screen was one of the docks that, before the pandemic started, you would every once in a while see a cruise ship docked over there. If there was enough cruise traffic and enough ships in port, that they would have to actually put one over there. That was sort of like the auxiliary dock, I guess you could say. But where we were docked at Pier B and the dock over at Mallory Square, those are the main locations in Key West for cruise ships. But now it's down to just Pier B.